Hello there, this is our Thinking Out Loud series 12. Think for yourself. Own your thinking for yourself to encourage personal growth. Let's see how it goes from here. Henry David Thoreau said this: think for yourself, or others will think for you without thinking of you. How terrible that would be if people think of us without thinking for us, because they'll impose their thoughts, their opinions, their beliefs on us simply because we refuse to think. We are just too lazy to think, or we just want to go with the flow. Alright? So that is not a very nice thing to happen. How do we know when we do not quite think for ourselves? These are some of the typical characteristics. Let's take a look at them one by one. We tend to stereotype. If a bunch of people dress a certain way, speak a certain way, eat at a certain place, then we categorize them as a certain type of people. That is stereotyping people. Right? Or we are filled with superstitions. It's like people sometimes we say that as grandmother's tales. These are things that our elders tell us when we were kids, just to scare us off from something or to keep us safe. For example, don't go into the woods in the night, the monster will catch you, things like that. So, but when we grow, we know that's not true, but we still hold on to it for no good reasons. Right? And that's not thinking for ourselves. We have negative biases. This is usually because of preconceived ideas due to some past experiences. Again, they may not be good. Most of the time, they are no good actually. Alright, like just because we were once caned by a teacher, so we tell everyone that that particular teacher is not a nice teacher. And in fact, when we were being caned at the time, we were really at fault. We didn't attend class. We were making too much noise in class, for example, when we were a child. Right? And we stick to obsolete ideas or old-fashioned methods, and we know that they don't quite work anymore. For example, how would you feel if a lecturer comes to class and insists on writing on the blackboard with chalk, dusty and all? You would start thinking very differently about this particular lecturer, wouldn't you? Alright. So moreover, this is the global pandemic brewing over the place, and we have new norms because of the movement control, and now we are all learning at home, working from home. So all these new technologies coming in, and all the more we can see the old-fashioned ways, obsolete methods are not quite finding their foothold here now. And we got to start evolving, start to think for ourselves to move forward. And we are easily influenced by the commercials. We may be using brand X of toothpaste, nice and good, and just because we saw a very cool advertisement, then the next week we are changing to Y brand toothpaste. 2 weeks down the road, we see another cool advertisement about it, so we throw away Y brand and get Z brand, for example. So just imagine, that's just toothpaste. Just imagine if we let other people influence the way we think for ourselves, just because that we think their ideas are cool or the way they behave is cool. That is being shallow and being disastrous in our personal development as well. And last but not least, we subscribe to myth, to hearsays and urban legends that have either been proven otherwise or simply have not been proven at all. For example, don't walk under the ladder or you'll be unlucky for 7 days and 7 nights. Don't break a mirror or you'll be unlucky for 7 years straight. Has anyone ever proven that? Well, if someone has broken a mirror and died the next day, it's probably his or her destiny to die the next day anyway, regardless of whether he or she is going to break the mirror or not. See? So these are the things, these are the characteristics of us. We take too many of these, then we can start asking ourselves and start reviewing ourselves that maybe we are not spending enough time, giving enough space for ourselves to think for ourselves. Alright? And now, why is it so important to think for ourselves? Right, let's take a look. When we start thinking for ourselves, we start taking responsibility for our own thoughts development, our own analysis in that when we are addressing the problem. Then we are developing self-confidence and trust in our own abilities, and we attain a greater sense of accomplishment. Why not? When we start to own up to our thinking, hence our actions coming out from the thinking, and whether or not it's the best action or not, it is the best that we could do based on the judgment that we can make of the circumstances that are presented to us. So that is the thought process that we have conducted for ourselves. So there's no right and no wrong. Remember, there's no right or no wrong. Simply taking the step out, taking the action based on our thought processes for ourselves, and that's the best that could be. What is the worst that can happen? Okay, it's not the best step forward. Then we improvise along the way. Alright, we become flexible, and you learn. By thinking for yourselves, you learn to expand your mind and to boost your brain power. Remember, the brain is just like any other muscle in the body. It needs to be exercised. It needs to be worked out. Otherwise, you'll go limp and flabby and not quite strong. And we know that, right? With this MCO, we stay home a lot, or if not most of the time, and we learn all to become very good chefs and bakers and all, and we may be indulging too much and not working out enough, right? And with thinking for ourselves, we tend to be more open to self-improvement and alternative viewpoints, simply because the way we think is being expanded, our horizons are being broadened, and become more aware and alert to what the media is selling to us. We won't be that easily influenced now because we are thinking instead of just accepting blindly what the media is telling us. And we are not easily susceptible to what others are chasing after, especially something that is trendy. It's just because the commercials are showing that whether you're a boy or girl, you wear skinny tight jeans, and everybody starts doing it, and you want to do it as well. Even though you realize that number one, it's not very comfortable, number two, it doesn't look very nice actually, especially if you have extra here and there, right? And number three, you also know that it's not appropriate to wear such a rather revealing a piece of clothing to a class, for example. So, but we still do it. Why? Because we follow the trendy. We follow the fashion, and that is an example of why it's important to think for yourself and think of what is best for yourself, what is appropriate for the context for yourself. Okay, and it is said that the best among people, the best among men, are those who could benefit others. By being able to think for yourself, by exercising this self-thinking power, you are actually becoming more interesting to other people. Why? Because you inspire them to start expanding their own thoughts and options as well. And you inspire them to be brave. To be brave for what? To stand up for what they believe in and to be original. Again, just because every other person is wearing a skin-tight jeans, and we got to do it. When we know that it doesn't quite suit us, and we know that it's not appropriate for certain contexts or certain occasions, like going for class, going for a meeting, going for an interview, it's not appropriate, so we don't do it. Right? We stick to being ourselves, we stick to being original. Remember the story of the ugly duckling? You're right. In brief, it's about an egg, a swan egg that by mistake got mixed up in the nest of a mother duck. So when they all hatch out, little ducklings are cute. They are yellowish and cutie, furry and all. But a baby swan is not so cutie. Right? It's a bit it's grayish and is bigger than a duck and definitely not as fluffy. So, and the little ugly duckling was really cute when he was a child. And what happened in the end? What happens in the end? The one who loves last loves the longest, because he or she sticks on to being him or herself, thinking for him or herself, sticking to being original. Alright? Now, here are 5 simple tips that you can adopt to start practicing thinking for yourself. Number 1, develop a strong sense of self. Know who you are, know what you want, and what is best for yourself. And in order to do that, you really got to start exercising thinking for yourself. Do not let others tell you how you should look, how you should dress up, how you should feel, or how you should act. Yes, your elders can advise you, but then again, you are old enough to start thinking for yourself whether that advice is suitable for you or not, or that advice can be adopted by some modification. You see? And do what is best for yourself by your own standards. As long as you are not breaking any rules, you are not going beyond any moral lines, then it's alright. Okay, I'm sure you have your inner sense of judgment of what is right and what is wrong. And you cultivate your own sense, your own taste, and enjoy your preferences. If I like pink, and I'm a boy, why should I like pink? There's nothing wrong with liking pink, for example. Right? And always be humble and respectful though. Right? You can have a strong sense of yourself. You will voice out your opinion, but always be courteous. There's no good in someone who is forceful in his or her opinion and antagonizing people or hurting other people's feelings, or simply disharmonizing any discussions or meetings. Right? That is not the right way to go. The second tip is be well informed. Gather as much information as you can before you form your own opinion. Build your mental resources. What can you do? You read, you observe, speak to people, ask the right questions, listen to videos and so on. In other words, you want to feed your mind, nourish your mind with the good information, the right information. So you read, you learn, you ask questions, and then you take some time out to start processing them. Do the reflection and to evaluate. What do all this information come together like? Do they fit together like a puzzle, or they are not quite suitable, I'll put them aside. Maybe they can be used for other things, but in this context it's not suitable, or I can tweak it a bit, modify, yes, and it comes together nicely. It's about innovation, right? In other words, when you have a lot of information, enough information, it's like loading a gun, the barrel, a barrel with 6 compartments to put in the bullets. If there's only one, you only one bullet, there are 6 compartments, you only one bullet to shoot. If you miss, that's it. That's it. But if you have 6 bullets, then I have 6 options. Then there are 6 possibilities that I will hit the target. Can you see? Simply put, you broaden your horizon, right, by being well informed and well read. Number 3, be flexible. And you see, when we see a problem in thinking for ourselves, we start to become flexible. In other words, we go into a mindset of solution seeking instead of problem scrutinizing. You are right. Do not spend your energy focusing on it as a problem. Because what did we say? Where you focus, the energy flows. Where the energy flows, the thing that you focus on, the problem, will start to expand and expand and expand. You'll be lucky it doesn't implode inside you. Alright? That's how we get upset with ourselves. Because we allow our energy, our focus to go into something as a problem and make it grow and allow it to grow. Instead of approaching a problem as an opportunity to learn, approaching a problem as looking for solution, looking for positive outcomes. Right? And you decide for yourself the pros and the cons, the way, the options. What are the consequences to other people? What are the good and the bad? If I were to make this decision, if I take this measure, what are the potential consequences to myself and to those around me? Would it do harm? Will it do good? Can I weigh them? And simply put, we like to do the SWOT analysis, for example. So that is exercising flexibility in developing thinking for yourself skills. Alright? Number 4, be brave. Do not back off, do not buckle under pressure, fear, or guilt. Have the courage to stand up for what you believe in and what you have deduced based on the information that you have got. If your judgment, your deduction says that this is the way we should go forward, just voice it out. Voice it out politely and nicely. There's no right, no wrong. Everything that we do, whether it's to the left or to the right, whether it's A or B or Z, they are all right to the best of our judgment, because we only want the best for ourselves, right, and the best for others as well. Okay, do not go with the flow just that we want to avoid conflicts. We don't want arguments. We want to keep the peace, and we are afraid of failure. So that shouldn't be holding us back. That is why we say you've got to be brave and courageous. You voice out and you speak up nicely though, and that is how you can expand on a good idea with input from all the other sources, and that is how an innovative solution, a creative idea is born. If the first spark is not given, if you are not willing to come up with the first spark, you are not willing to light the match and take the risk of burning your finger, then there will be no first fire. If there's no first fire, there won't be a campfire to warm everybody or to light up everybody's life. Can you see that? Last but not least, avoid the group thinking trap. This idea of group thinking was put forth by Irving Janis back in 1972 in his book Victims of Groupthink. So it is actually a psychological phenomenon where a group of people will try to concur, will try to agree on something simply to avoid conflict. And what they do is that if I do not want to create trouble or create conflict, then I should keep quiet. How can I keep quiet? I shut down my mind and refuse to think. Refuse to critically make evaluation, to make assessment, to make any analysis at all, or to come up with any alternative ideas. I just go with what the leader says or what the person who speaks the loudest says. As Socrates says, to find yourself, you've got to think for yourself. And that is very, very true, isn't it? Start thinking for yourself. Alright? So my dear students, here we go. Remember, you can start thinking for yourselves, to start recognizing yourself and unleashing the 90% latent potential inside you. It is not in your uncle's safety boots, it's not in your auntie's casserole dish, it's definitely not in your cat's basket. It's there, inside of you, waiting to be released. Thank you very much, bye-bye, and stay safe.